Most people believe they need more to succeed: more money, more power, more time, more friends, more credentials, more fame, more ideas, more prayers, more talent, more techniques, more knowledge. And we've been programmed to think this way. Society has done this. The school system has done this. Corporations have done this. But the truth is, in the abundance that you want to call into your life, it's that less is more. Progress is made through precise, persistent, and purposeful pushes and actions. It's a strange difference that occurs, but what you are wanting to go from where you're at now to what money, what things, what opportunities, what growth you want to call in, that's going to happen through the art of strategic subtraction. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? This is your host, Tiffany Carter, and you are listening to the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. Well, I had a shooketh 3-day period. And you know how there's that like rule of threes, like people will say, oh, bad things happen in threes, but beautiful things happen in threes as well. And I don't want you to forget about that. It's pretty cool. 3 days, 3 lessons, a life-changing experience. And it would be criminal for me to not share these lessons with you, because obviously not all of you were able to be at my in-person mastermind event. That would be wild. That would be, there's like millions of you here. That'd probably be a little too intense for me at this point. But to experience the breakthroughs that people have, whether it's inside my posse membership, inside working with me privately in my exclusive 2-month business coaching program, which, by the way, fall applications are open. I am only taking 4 private clients this season. So you can DM me on Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany to get that application or to see if it's the right thing for you. This is the highest level way to work with me. So I work with entrepreneurs who are starting from scratch. Maybe you're transitioning out of corporate, or you're wanting to, or another career, or you've been working at your business a while and like you've just not made much money yet. I call you guys my new entrepreneurs. And that's if you're making under $10,000 a month. So 0 to 10,000 a month. And it's the same application for both. So I work with newbies and I work with established entrepreneurs who are looking to scale to the high 6 and 7 and multiple 7 figures. But to keep things simple, it's the same application. The reason I am not going to put it inside the show notes is I've noticed when I've done that before, there's a bunch of people who will apply. And by bunch, I mean dozens and dozens, if not hundreds and hundreds, because it feels good to do something, to apply. But then there's a lot of people who aren't really serious about it. And again, highest level way to work with me. I'm nowhere near as expensive as some of you guys think I probably am, based on my receipts and my level of expertise, because a lot of business coaches charge these wild prices. And what I teach is you don't need to charge egregious prices to make millions of dollars. It needs to feel good to you. And you are going to pay me some coin because you're going to make that return on investment for decades to come. But it doesn't need to be something wild. So in order for me to see, it's kind of a step in the application process. In order for me to see that you really want it, you need to message me on Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany, because even taking that additional step shows me that you're an action taker and you really want it. Even if you have like a question in there, or we want to like kind of do a little voice texting back and forth. So that's where you can get that application. Typically, once I mention it, these close out within 10 days. So don't procrastinate on it if it's something that you're leaning towards. The blessing of the transformations I get to experience monetarily, with people's mindset, with what happens in their life and their lifestyle, doing that, so to speak, digitally through a screen, through courses, through programs, through coaching, is incredible. the next level in witnessing that in person is remarkable. And what's really cool about that in person mastermind is that other people who are attending get to witness it. We get to see the transformation before our eyes and others, which further cements how possible and that is for us and what's available for us. And how could that not leave you with just such a strong motivation to do the work, to do the scary things, to invest your time, energy, and money in yourself and in your dreams and pursuing your goals and pursuing the things you want in your life and helping other people do the same in some way? Because that's what this is really all about. We're really paying it forward with our natural talents, with these gifts, with these skill sets that we have honed, studied, gone to school for, practiced, made mistakes over and over and over again. We have these, and everyone has them. Whether it's you have a talent for sewing, you have a talent for being an incredible listener and holding space for people, whether you are a master business strategist and know how to teach people how to sell in a way that feels good to them for any type of business like I have. We each have these gifts because they're supposed to be paid forward. You have those inside of you. Now, I wouldn't want you feeling a burden like you have to do these things because you have it. Not everything is meant to be monetized, right? Like there's some things that you don't have to create a business around in order to pay it forward. Of course, I do a lot of volunteering, as many of you know. But if you are feeling unfulfilled, uncertain, you're feeling torn, you feel like you've hit a plateau in your life, you're feeling blah, you're feeling like the walking dead, you know something needs to change. What needs to change is you need to go all in on yourself. That's never a bad bet. That's a bet that will always pay off. In fact, I would say that's a guarantee. When you go all in on yourself, there's no way you're going to fail. Your success is inevitable. But most people will go half in on themselves. You know, it's where I say, like, you're toe dipping on your business and then you're expecting to get great results. Like, the first step is you have to be honest with yourself. Are you toe dipping? Are you 3/4 of the way in the water, expecting to have the full experience of being underwater and delighting in the pool, delighting in the ocean, whatever it is? It's an all in play. And when I say all in, and I know you've heard this from probably other people you follow, it's like, what does that mean? Because it can trigger some stuff in people. Like, all in means I have to like give up, my personal life. I have to sacrifice my health. I have to go into hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. That's not what I mean by all in. By all in, it's an energy. I'm going for it, baby. I'm betting on myself, for the people I love, and for the greater good. And I'm going to keep betting on myself and keep betting on myself, regardless of if I'm getting immediate external validation, because I know how bad you want. Of course, I want it too. Our egos want it. We want to be able to mention one offer or one thing and have all these people lining up to buy from us. Or we want to be able to put out podcast episodes or a post or a video, and then we go viral. Doesn't work like that. And the more you want it, the less it's going to happen. So this goes to the first of the 3 life-changing lessons that I experienced over this 3-day period. And I got to tell you, just like when you have like a bunch of bad crap that happens, you get something that I like calling like an emotional hangover. And it really does feel that way. It feels like a hangover. We can have a hangover effect from when a lot of powerful, beautiful things that happen because we're processing it, especially if it's unfamiliar to you, right? A lot of us are very conditioned to handling like when we get sidewhacked and a bunch of shit happens and things don't go our way. Like that's very familiar. Some people even get like a negative excitement high out of it. But when you have a bunch of good things happen at once, that can feel a hell of a lot more vulnerable. It's like, oh shit. Because you're like waiting for that other shoe to drop. Like, oh God, what's going on here? What can happen? So this is what's been going on with me. Here's this. Okay. I want you to hear this. There's a clear and direct connection to your level of willing to be seen and the level of abundance you'll allow yourself to receive. So your level of being comfortable and feeling safe and not feeling resistance to being seen, to being exposed, to being visible to a a lot of people, to the world, will be a direct correlation to your success online and offline. There's a reason why the transformations at this particular mastermind event of mine were so powerful and I attracted the most incredible group. It starts with me. It starts with my energy. It starts with my willing to be seen. I have people in my home. This was the first time I have ever had people in my house for any type of event, paid or unpaid. I'm not the gal who has like dinner parties. Now, I'm someone who will host things at a restaurant, host things at an Airbnb, I'll do that stuff. And I'm a great guest. I mean, I don't cook, but like I'm a great party guest. You definitely want me at a party or an event. But it's so vulnerable having people at your home, especially people who some were total strangers I've never uttered a word to in my life. We've never had a conversation in my life. Some of them I've coached. So we've gotten to know each other quite well, but we've never met in person. But I had to be willing to be seen at a different level to call in the people that I called in and to call in the abundance I called in. There is no denying why this was also my most profitable event, not just transformative, because like I said, there's a clear and direct connection to your level and willingness of being seen and your level of abundance. Because really what I'm saying, your level of being seen and visible, it's really your level of being able to be vulnerable. And it's not like you're fake. Some of you are probably being fake, right? I'm not throwing shade. Some of you are being fake as a protective mechanism. You show up online, you show up at things with the job interview version of yourself, or as I used to call myself, like newscaster tiff version, where you're putting a veneer because we make a lot of judgments, especially if you have self-worth stuff, tough stuff that's tied to childhood or other toxic relationships where it's like, well, if they really saw how crazy I was, if they really saw how kooky I was, if they really or the belief of I need to be more of this, and this, and less of this, and this for people to like me, for people to be engaged, for people to respect me, for people to want to buy from me, for people to see my talents. Oof. It doesn't work. It can work to a certain extent. I'm not saying you can't make some money and get some places, but it comes at a cost. I used to operate this way where I would be a version of myself. I wasn't fake, but I also wasn't allowing myself to be fully seen. So you could really see that in my bank account, right? So I did well, but I didn't do super, super well as one would think I was doing based on my talents, on my heart, on my efforts. So many of you who feel like you're doing all the things and you're like, what the hell? This isn't paying off. And then you're watching other people not even do as much as you, and they're getting a payoff. You're the common denominator. It starts with that. So being able to be seen, and I had to keep reminding myself, you're safe. I made sure I was supported. So I had people here on my team to support me and ground me during this so I could stay in that receiving energy, right? I am receiving this abundance and I'm going to show up feeling safe and secure in this vulnerability. So I had to actively make sure I did things to have the support from coaches, support from friends, support from myself, ask for support from God, from the universe, for me to be able to show up this way. It's not like it wasn't uncomfortable. It's not like this didn't have my nervous system going. Of course it did, because we have stuff and trauma that's stored in our tissues. But I actively was making sure I was addressing that. And therefore, it spilled over into everyone else who was here, where people were saying things like, this is the most safe event I've ever been to in my life. This is the most honest and refreshing business event I've ever attended. This is the most valuable thing that I've ever done in my life. Like, these are the things people were saying. The one about being safe, wow, that one really got me. But I had to make sure I felt safe for them to feel safe. Do you see what I'm saying? So the lesson I'm sharing here is how you want others to feel, whether it's in your personal life or professional life, which really is probably the same thing. You have to do the work, and it's daily work. And I don't mean like strenuous work, but it's daily practices so that you feel that way. If you want people to feel safe being vulnerable enough to share their shit with you, to hire you, to help them do trauma informed coaching, mindset work, body healing. I mean, a lot of you guys are healers in my audience. You are creatives, you're practitioners. Much of what you do requires someone to be very vulnerable to even ask you for help. Even with what I do, you could say on the surface, well, how vulnerable is it for someone to hire you? For business coaching, marketing coaching, teaching them how to make money online. It's very vulnerable for a lot of people to ask for help. And it's even more vulnerable for my entrepreneurs who've been at it a while, because they're shaming themselves, and they're embarrassed themselves that they're not further along. And they've invested usually in a lot of other people and programs. And by the time they get to me, they're like just filled with guilt and shame. Like, that I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm not making money consistently, or I've made some and then I don't make some, or I have nothing to show for all of my efforts. And they're embarrassed because they are, putting themselves down, and they're in their own self-judgment. So it takes a lot of vulnerability to be able to reach out and say, like, hey, this is where I'm struggling. So it doesn't matter what area in your life that you're struggling and what you help people with. That's what you're doing. If you have a business, you're starting a business, you're helping people who are struggling in a certain area. You know how damn vulnerable it was for me to share what I was struggling with my fitness coach, my new fitness coach that I hired like beginning of July. It was very humbling because I was in a lot of self-judgment. It was super humbling. And I could have continued to not leaned into that, but he had to have created an environment that was safe enough for me to be that vulnerable. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been there. Do you see what I'm saying? And he had to be open to being vulnerable himself in order to attract me, someone who needed to be humble and vulnerable. So I know it's a little bit of mind fuckery with some of these, but usually our most profound lessons take a moment for them to sink in. So you might have to listen to this a few times, but then something wild happened, which is total confirmation that this is an absolute thing. I also, and it sounds like something so surface, but it's not. I mean, really, not much I do is surface. There's always something deeper. I felt the most free that I've ever felt into picking my outfits and designing the schedule for this mastermind and for my photo shoot, my brand shoot that I did right after. And I knew I wanted this event. I knew how I wanted people to feel. And I want you guys to really take a look at that, whether this is an online thing or it's in person. How do you want people to feel while they're there and when it's over? And then you have to feel that way first, though. You have to put out that energy first. That has to be clear first. And so I wanted people to feel free. I wanted people to feel like I'm stepping in to the main character energy of my life and owning it and not having guilt around it, not feeling like I'm being some narcissistic look at me person, and like really delighting in it and it feeling fun and it feeling playful. And you get to make all of that money while feeling all of those things. And it gets to be simple. It gets to be easy. It gets to be fun. It gets to be joyous. It gets to be all of it. It doesn't have to be the other stuff. That's an old belief. It's not true. So when I was picking outfits for my photo shoot, I was picking outfits to wear for the event, and we were designing what was going in. We're known for our really fun swag bags, even things like the snacks. Every single thing was rooted in how I wanted people to feel. Even the sales page for the mastermind, even my marketing messaging around it, all of it was all designed around that. And so I got this dress and I got it at the 11th hour. I was probably resisting getting it. I've always wanted to wear one of those really puffy tulle, I think it's called tulle fabric dresses, kind of like for those of you who are Sex and the City fans, where the original Sex and the City, where Sarah Jessica Parker is bouncing around the city. I think she has a tank top and a really fun pink, big tulle dress and like her, Manolos. I wanted that. That's why that's such a great opening outfit, because it was like, ooh, why am I getting emotional? That's true freedom. The freedom of expression, the freedom of saying, this is me, the freedom of externalizing that inner child, that playfulness in you that's so vulnerable, but it's so freeing. And that's when you step into your true power, is when you're willing to have your vulnerability be not only seen, but showcased for other people. Because I knew it started with me and I showed up like that. It would give the other women there permission to show up like that as well. It would create the safe space for it. But I still resisted getting a dress like this. And I knew I only had probably, it was like my last chance to order something for it to get there in time. And this cheap ass store, which I'm shouting them out, all their shit's cheap. And I was like, it's a hope and a prayer if it's coming to you, one of those places. But I think it came through like an Instagram or TikTok ad. It's called Fashion Nova. And I don't know. They did some targeting. They probably heard me spying on me in my house, and some AI bot heard me talking about this with somebody. And I saw this dress pop up and I went, oh. And it said one day, free overnight shipping. And I was like, oh, I'm a sucker for free shipping. So I went to the site and I saw the first dress I saw. I was like, I really liked it, but I was like, maybe there's something else. And it wasn't quite in my brand color. And then I found the dress and I go, okay, I'm either going to look like a total clown in it, because maybe this is designed for someone who's like a size 00 and 6 feet tall, or it's going to be a total hit. It's either a hit or a miss, but that's fine. And of course, there was some kind of crazy sale. You like bought one dress, got one free or something. So this dress was like, I don't even know how much it was. It was cheap. And then I saw another thing I like. So I got 3 things, might as well. This dress never arrived, by the way. There was no one night shipping. There was like probably some disclaimer. You get one night shipping after the order is like processed or after it leaves the facility. There's some kind of loophole there. And I was, once all the mastermind people were already here, and I was like kind of bummed, but I still had this vision of wearing this dress and all of us during our abundant sunset cocktail hour. I have everyone wear something like really fun and sparkly and playful. And then we all would go on the beach during golden sunset hour and just have fun, bounce around, like delight delight in this, do content, all the things. Have my giant charcuterie that I got. I mean, that was part of it, right? Like, who doesn't love finger foods? And this charcuterie was like next level. I mean, there was like, I got way too much, but that's also on brand for me, right? Like, I had to be abundant. I wasn't going to have some scrappy charcuterie, okay? So I was teaching on, I think it was day one. I was teaching, it's a 2 day event. I was teaching on day one and I let it go. This is also how I manifest, right? I still kept envisioning myself wearing the dress, but I also practiced detachment of if I'm supposed to wear it, the dress will arrive. Or maybe if it doesn't arrive now and it arrives, who knows, 12 weeks from now, maybe I'm supposed to wear it then. I'm going to trust it and let it go. And then I had like a backup plan. I wasn't as excited by the backup plan, but that's okay. Let it go. And I was, I don't know, it came up during one of my teachings. I think I was talking about ads and how great ads work and me buying this. I shit you not. I go to pick up my phone. I was using it to reference something, and I got a text notification that this Fashion Nova item has been delivered. And I was like, no fucking way. There's no way. Wow. And I like, so in real time, everyone here got to experience that. And so I went and got it. And I was like, okay, you guys, this is either going to be, it's 11:11, by the way, right now, as I'm saying this. That's also not lost on me. And it should not be lost on you. So I went and got it. This is during my event. And I was like, you guys, I really want to open it and we've got to see this dress. Like, we've got to see what's in here or it's going to be hysterical. Like, it's going to be like sized for a child. And I was like, do you want me to open it now? And they're like, yes. And I opened it and I was like, okay. And everyone's, oh, wow. You can't tell. It looked like a ball of tulle. Right. And then I pulled out the other ones. And then when I went upstairs to try it on for the abundance a cocktail hour, and I was with my team and my friend, and I brought in Regina Lawrence, who's an amazing breathwork practitioner. I knew she's a Virgo too, very honest. I knew she would tell me, and I was like, do we got clown vibes or is this like a thing? It's a thing. And it was a thing. And this might have sounded like a long story, but my point is that was supposed to arrive. I knew it was. I wasn't wrong. And then I came down and bounced all around and was barefoot on it. And it made everyone's mood lighten up. People went and changed into their different dresses. We danced on the beach. We played, we took really fun pictures. And then these out of nowhere, these delightful two little girls wearing crowns, mind you, when I was running on the beach playing around and my photographer and brand director were getting video of me and they suddenly appeared. They're like towhead girls, blonde girls, they're sisters. And they're like circling around me thinking I'm like a Disney princess that like manifested on the beach. But I knew as I was running that they're my only children. That was my only child. That was my only child my inner child being reflected to me. And I knew that. And they appeared. And it was undeniable. And if I show you a picture of me as a child, you go, oh my God, I was super blonde like these two little girls. And they were playing and having fun. They wanted to know what my princess name was. They were enamored by all of us grown women playing, dancing, frolicking on the beach, wearing sparkly things, fun things. One of my attendees is so creative and fun. Jessica, shout out to you, who has like bright pink hair and our full creative expression. And one of my longtime friends and attendees, Lisa Schoenthal, she saw it too. I didn't know if it was just me who saw it, but there was a couple people who saw it and thought the same thing and were profoundly moved by it. And what a beautiful gift for those girls too. And I really thought, was this a figment of my imagination? Was I just imagining them? And then if you listen to my last podcast episode, while I was recording the podcast, I shit you not, the mom, the dad, and the two little girls walk past my window and they're bouncing, all excited to go to the beach. I've never seen these people before. I thought they were tourists. And it was like the universe and God nodding, like, that was for you. That was for you and everyone who saw it. But that would not have happened if I hadn't have done the work and continue to do the daily work and invest in having the support of feeling safe and supported and secure in order to be seen and vulnerable. And then we pass that on. All right, let's go into the second lesson. You're like, wow, that was an episode in of itself. I know. And I definitely want you sharing this episode with someone who comes to your mind, because these lessons are important for anybody to hear and take in. Lesson 2, the less you care, the more you make. I ended up saying this so many times during this 3-day period, but it wasn't like planned. I didn't have like a little notebook of Tiffany quotes I need to say, or there wasn't an agenda. I kept saying it after we did an activity. So I did this amazing once in a lifetime experience for everyone where we had like a luxuriating picnic in the sand on the beach. Okay, like gorgeous. And then we had an abundance station and all this stuff. And we were masterminding, sitting there, delighting, having fun. And people were saying, wow, this is how we do business. This is how business gets to be done. And I said, yeah, because we're carefree. I don't mean less you care, like I don't care about anything or anybody. I'm not doing anything. It's the less you care, the more you make, the more carefree you are, the more you make, because you're in that receiving open energy. Your energy isn't drained by forcing and pushing. Therefore, you have more creativity, more mental bandwidth. You end up attracting more people and opportunities to you because it's such an attractive energy. It really is the art of detachment. Your energy is lighter and more fun. So it's so attractive to people. But then those old beliefs that are not true come in. Well, it can't be like this. It can't be this fun. It can't be this light. It can't be this. It can't be this easy. Yes, it can. But the vulnerability is in you allowing it to be. And that's where I'm having still a little bit of an emotional hangover and processing from having these incredible, profound things happen, is because that doesn't feel safe to me. I'm like, okay, how long can all this goodness last? I've had a lot of goodness going on, a lot of abundance, and it's unfamiliar to me. What's more familiar is the shit hitting the fan because of my childhood. And then going into the corporate world. And then I then subconsciously recreated the shit always hitting the fan because that's what was comfortable and familiar to me. And it doesn't have to be that way, but it's going to continue being that way. If you're someone who goes like 3 steps forward, 5 steps back, or you'll have good shit that happens, but then you'll get sidewhacked. The way to stop that is by working on increasing your ability to be vulnerable in the receiving. It is so vulnerable to receive good things happening for sustained periods of time. It can feel like, to a lot of people, and myself included, I need to brace for impact. I can't be this flailing out there and this open and exposed and relishing in all of this abundance, because then if I get whacked, man, that fall is going to be so painful and devastating. I totally get it. And we're always having opportunities for growth. So I just keep reminding myself it's safe to receive. There are things that are going to happen in life, but the fall isn't going to be this fall that I'm making it out to be. Because look at the cost involved about constantly staying in a state where you're like bracing for impact and hyper vigilant and on high alert and in fight or flight. That's not working for you at all. That cost is way higher than the cost of you being in detachment and truly believing and embodying the less you care, the more that you make, and being free and doing the best you can on any given day and trusting that it's more than enough. And that was really cool to see these women of all different ages, all different backgrounds, all different ethnicities, all different from all different places all over the world really get to experience what it's like to be carefree and how that is tied to abundance. All right, the third lesson. And if you're loving this episode, go leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. It's the only platform you can write a review at this moment. If you don't know how to do that, you can also Google it and it'll give you the step-by-step instructions. You can tap the 5 stars on Spotify, and that's really helpful to the show as well. And sharing this episode with a friend. Some people share these episodes with their therapist because you're basically letting them know, hey, like this is stuff I'm working on. I want to work on it with you, and share it in your social media and tag me. Okay, the third lesson. Your exact unique personality, gifts, and even limitations are divinely yours to serve a specific higher purpose. We often can focus on our limitations, the things that make us weird, our quirks, and come up with a belief or attach a belief to it that this is why we can't have the abundance. This is why we can't have the success. This is why we won't fit in. This is why it won't work for us and it'll work for them. And it's the exact opposite. Those were given to you. They weren't like, you didn't like come up with them and like implant them in yourselves. Those were given to you for a much bigger purpose. Your quirks, your idiosyncrasies, your weirdness, all of that stuff, that's actually where the most transformation and impact you can make on other people is by embracing those and showcasing those. The most abundance is in there as well. We don't need any more of this surface level shit. We're really tired. Aren't we tired of it? I was tired of it years ago when I started this podcast. Now I'm even more tired of it. Let me give you a couple of examples from attendees. So one of my attendees, Melanie, she has a brand called Be Fused, and she is a permanent jewelry artist. If you don't know what permanent jewelry is, it is like picture like having a bracelet, an anklet, and it's fused on you, not on your skin, but it's fused together and it's done. So basically you're waking up and you have jewelry on you, but it's jewelry. You don't even feel it on you. It's like, it's not even there. So it's like jewelry, a tattoo version of jewelry, except if you really don't like it, you can cut it off, which is why I'm so attracted to it because I have commitment issues. That's why I like piercings. You can take it out. You don't have to go pay to have something lasered off. Thank God I didn't get a tattoo. Oh my God, it would have been terrible. I would have done the dolphin on the hip. I don't think I would have done a tramp stamp, but I would have done like the dolphin on the hip, like that move. And that dolphin wouldn't look cute now. Who knows what it would look like now. I'm really glad I didn't get that. So Melody, she makes people feel so accepted and safe because people aren't just buying the permanent jewelry. No one's just buying a tattoo, right? No one's just buying a bracelet. You're selling an experience in this case. Same with my permanent makeup people, same with my hairstylists, same with anyone who's in the beauty industry or even clothing for that matter, going to a certain boutique. You can get a lot of this shit by a lot of different people, some more expensive, some less expensive. It's how you make people feel in your presence, and what they remember is the experience, not the actual item. And it's important for the items to be good quality, but it's really the experience. And she makes people feel so accepted and safe. And she so generously, along with my other client, Athena, who is at Flash Infused. She teaches, she's like the OG of permanent jewelry and teaches people how to do it, how to start it, how to monetize it, how to grow it. And they generously offered to do permanent jewelry for people here at the mastermind. So we had like a certain bracelet that they could get for free. And then people could do add ons like charms or get gold ones or anklets, get a stack, the whole thing. And I got to see Melody do this in real life and how she was with people and how gentle and how loving and how she helped them pick out like their charms and the meanings behind them that they wanted. And this came as a result of her feeling so unaccepted and unsafe in relationships in her life, her being not accepted for being someone who, I guess the term is like plus sized, her not feeling included, her feeling excluded, even in the world of going shopping. And because of those things that happened to her and her reaction to them, understandable reaction to them, has made her such a special, unique person in this industry where she makes people feel so included and so welcomed and so accepted. And every time they look down on their wrist or every time they look at their ankle, they're reminded of that and it transfers. Another example, my client, Dr. Audra, who is here, she does root cause injury healing with celebrities, professional athletes, etc. And there are a lot of people in her industry. She's trained as a chiropractor. She does a lot of soft tissue work, but there's a lot of people. There's a lot of almost everything out there. But her hypervigilance that she has, her attention to detail, her attention to, her being an empath, her picking up on nuances in the body and people's mannerisms and people's energy and people's words and people's tone and people's nonverbals and how people walk. This hypervigilance of hers was strongly developed as a form of emotional self-protection in childhood. But this exact survival trait has made her stand out as a unique practitioner because she's so tuned in on a deep level that people call her like, what are you, like a witch doctor? Like people are just blown away where very quickly you get results. I mean, she's helped me with my knee tremendously where I have zero knee pain now. And that was done even virtually, not even in person. So those things that make her uniquely her that could seem like a burden to her actually are a blessing to other people and have blown up her bank account. So I want you to take a look at those parts of you that you are thinking aren't enough or are too much in order to have what you want. At least look at it and go, how could this actually be exactly what's needed? How could this actually be a beneficial trait of mine, a beneficial thing of mine for other people? I mean, you listening to me, you're listening to me truly as a result. Yes, I have the receipts. I know what I'm talking about. I do have very strong expertise, blah, blah, blah. But it's that ability to get it, to tune in, to communicate to where you feel comfortable and safe with me. Like you and I are just having a private conversation and I'm speaking right to you. That's as a result of all the trauma I experienced and all the gazillion years of work that I had to do healing myself. And this is why people feel so safe coming to me and telling me all of their shit. You could be coming to me for strategy, but let me tell you, we do all the strategy. I teach you all that straight up. But we've got to unpack this other stuff because that's the stuff that will sabotage you and hold you back. It's not the strategy. Because I could hand you a full playbook. I could do a multi-million-dollar plan for you that's very simple, step by step, period. That you could be starting from scratch. And I go, you follow this for sure within a year, you're going to be at $25,000 months from scratch. And I'm saying it that confidently. There would be like 0.002% of you who would actually follow through with it. Not because you didn't believe me that it was possible, not because you don't what I teach doesn't work, all of your other shit would get in the way of not doing it. Fear of being seen, money beliefs, money blocks. I'm too this, I'm not enough this. What if this, the overthinking, the procrastination. So we have to work on both, which is why, whether it's in my posse membership, it's in my private coaching program, any of my things, even in this podcast, why we have to do both, because you can't out strategize a broken mindset when there's stuff that's blocking you. So again, if you want to apply for my fall applications, DM me on Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany. Share this episode with someone. Leave a review. Let me know which of these lessons really stood out for you. I love you so much. I appreciate you guys so much for being here, for sharing the show, for showing up. You've got this. If it's possible for me, I promise it's possible for you. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you.